All right, it's 7:04. I'm going to call to order the special meeting with closed session. It says with closed session, but I don't think there's any closed session. So the special meeting tonight. Let's have a roll call.
Mr. Gentry.
Here.
Mr. Guerin.
Here.
Mr. Troy.
Here.
Mr. Quagliano.
Here.
Mrs. Melendi. Here. Mr. Fleck.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? There being none, okay, we will move on. I see my name on a lot of the agenda items, so you'll have to bear with me here. So, results of the canvass from the April 2nd consolidated election is item number 4. We have the canvassing reports for both counties, for McHenry and for Kane. We need to take a look at the canvas and then vote on them. So, are there any questions? There being none, I will make a motion to adopt the canvas as presented.
Second.
Second from Mr. Quagliano. Okay, this is a roll call.
Mr. Quagliano.
Yes.
Mr. Fleck.
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi.
Yes.
Mr. Guerin.
Yes.
Mr. Gentry.
Yes.
Mr. Troy.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Now for the main event, we're going to have the oath of office of the new board members and the reaffirmation of the current board members that were reelected. So, I would like to have all of those that have been reelected to go ahead and go to the podium, and we would like to be joined by our newest board member, Melissa Mirino Scheiblein. I hope I said your name right, Melissa. Okay, I've been practicing it all day. So, okay.
Hustle up, man.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. You guys did memorize the oath, correct?
State your name.
No. Okay. I did notice that the oath is new this year. As of January 1st, it's a much, much longer oath. So I will break it down into parts. Okay. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tony Quagliano,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education. You want me to break that down a little more?
yeah, like every 3 words.
Okay. It's really long. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully discharge
Solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education
the duties of the office of the Board of Education
of Huntley Community School District 158.
Huntley Community
School District 158
In accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
I further swear or affirm that
I further swear or affirm that
I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I
I shall respect taxpayers' interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect
I shall encourage and
I shall
respect
encourage and respect
the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members.
the the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority
as an individual and that decisions can be made
as an individual and that decisions can be made
only by a majority vote at public board meeting.
only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
while retaining the right to seek changes
while retaining the right to seek changes
in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
As part of the Board of Education,
As part of the Board of Education,
I shall accept the responsibility for my role
I shall accept responsibility for my role
in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district.
in the equitable and quality education of every student in the district.
I shall foster with the board
I shall foster with the board
extensive participation of the community,
extensive participation of the community,
formulate goals,
formulate goals,
define outcomes,
define outcomes,
and set the course for Huntley Community School District 158.
and set the course for community school district 158.
I shall assist in establishing a structure,
I shall assist in establishing a structure,
an environment designed to ensure
an environment designed to ensure
all students have the opportunity to attain
all students have the opportunity to attain
their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework.
their maximum potential through a sound framework.
Yeah. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment
I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment
of student achievement in all conditions.
of student achievement in all conditions,
We're almost done. Affecting the education of our children
affecting the education of our children,
in compliance with state law.
compliance with state law.
I shall serve as education's key advocate
I shall serve as education's key advocate
on behalf of students
on behalf of students
in our community school
and our community school
to advance the vision for District 158,
to advance the vision of District 158,
and I shall strive to work together
and I shall strive to work together
with the district superintendent
with the district superintendent
to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision
to lead the school district in fulfilling the vision
the board has created,
the board has created,
fostering excellence
fostering excellence
for every student in the areas of academic skills,
for our students, academic skills,
knowledge, citizenship,
citizenship,
and personal development.
and personal development.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That is seriously the statutory oath of office. I did not write that. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to read the Code of Conduct and Policies. No, I'm kidding. There are in your packet the IASB Code of Conduct and Policy 2.8 about the board member oath and conduct, so you can take a look at those as well. And now, at 7:13 p.m., I will make a motion to adjourn sine die, which means that we're not going, this current sitting board is going to adjourn without any further action. So I'll make a motion to adjourn sine die. Is there a second? Okay, a second from Mr. Quagliano. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. And now we will seat the new board member. Okay, and it is now 7:14, so we will have a roll call.
Mr. Gentry,
Here.
Mr. Guerin, Mr. Troy,
Here.
Mr. Quagliano, Mrs. Melendi, Mr. Fleck,
Here. Yeah, that's my radio.
Mrs. Mariano Scheiblein,
Okay, we are all here. We have a quorum. We can therefore move on. We're going to start with the reorganization. We've set our new candidates. We've got our two-year candidate. We now need to have a motion to seat a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. So with that, I will take any nominations from the board for a slate of officers for president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
Not treasurer.
Mr. Altmeier's already our treasurer.
Okay, yes, Mr. Altmaier is our treasurer, by the way, so.
Okay.
No? Okay. All right, so we'll go with that, but we could do a slate of candidates, or we can do one office at a time.
One office at a time.
Okay, then I will take nominations for president.
I'll nominate Mike Fleck if you're willing to stay on. that position.
I am, I accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations? Yes.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made, or the nomination by Mr. Quagliano has been made and seconded by Ms. Melendi for Michael Fleck, me, to be the president. Are there any other nominations for that? Okay. Then, there being none, let's have a roll call to have yours truly serve as president for another term.
Mr. Quagliano, Mr. Fleck,
Abstain.
Mrs. Melendi, Mr. Gentry,
Yes.
Mr. Guerin, Mr. Troy,
Yes.
Mrs. Mariano Scheiblein.
Okay, I guess that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we'll take nominations for the position of vice president. Any nominations from the floor?
I'd like to nominate Tony Quigliano.
Okay. Okay, there's a nomination for Tony Quagliano to be the vice president. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second from Mr.
I will
Guerin.
third it.
Are there any other nominations? There being none, let's have a roll call for vice president.
You accepted, right?
Yes. Okay. Accepted by Mr. Quagliano. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gentry,
Yes.
Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mr. Troy,
Yes.
Mr. Quagliano, Mrs. Marino Scheiblein, Mrs. Melendi, Mr. Fleck.
Yes, that motion carries. That leaves secretary. Are there any nominations for the position of secretary?
I would like to nominate Mr. Troy.
Okay. The nomination for Mr. Troy. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, second for Mr. Quagliano. Are there any other nominations? There being none.
Leslie?
Oh,
Leslie?
yeah, Leslie.
No, I'm asking before I nominate. No. Okay.
Okay. Do you accept your nomination?
Yes, I'll accept.
Okay, accepted by Mr. Troy. I got that one done before the roll call. Okay. Let's have a roll call.
Mrs. Marino Scheiblein, Mr. Gentry,
A grateful yes.
Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mr. Troy,
Abstain.
Mr. Quagliano, Mrs. Melendi, Mr. Fleck.
Yes. Okay. And that is our executive officers. Then we now move on to item 9, which is the establishment of regular meetings. There is a draft of calendar meetings, which continues our tradition of having first and third Thursdays. The first Thursday of each month being for the committee of the whole, and the third Thursday of each month, with some exceptions. Third Thursday of each month for the regular meeting, the exception of no meeting in January and July for committee of the whole. Okay? Any discussion about the calendar? And of course, special meetings as called. Okay?
I'll just point out for clarification purposes that the October 10th, there's an asterisk indicating that that's actually the second Thursday of the month, due to an annual conflict that always falls on that one for me so that I can be here. And then in November, we do the regular board meeting in the second week because of the tri-conference.
Okay, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. So there are some exceptions, but those are the... Okay. All right. So I will make a motion to accept the calendar draft 1 as our meeting calendar for the next year. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Guerin. Any further discussion? There being none, this is a voice vote, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, there's our calendar. All right, next item. This is more, I think, for notice. Mandatory board training. State law requires any school board member, either appointed or elected after, to complete the 4-hour professional development leadership training with the first year of his or her first term. In addition, a board member is required to complete training on the Performance Evaluation Reform Act, also known as PERA, per policy. Ms. Maiorino-Scheiblein, you've been noticed on that. You know what you need to do on that. Okay. Is there any questions on that? Okay. You haven't completed it yet, have you? No, I'm kidding. So, okay. All right. All right. Next item is the committee structures, and we do have to seat some committees here. There's been a proposal out for the committees. You should get out here. First of all, is there anybody that doesn't want to be on their prior committees? Any long-standing members that want to change committees at all? Okay. Let's see if I can get the proposal up here. Okay, here it is. One of the proposals is to make the president be an at-large member of all committees, which I will be willing to do if this is what the board so chooses. But the proposals for the committees are as follows. Legislation, I would continue to chair that. The members would be Leslie and Melissa. Finance would be Tony chairing it. I was going to make a joke about Tony not being on finance, but I couldn't come up with a way to do that. So, yeah. So, and same with Kevin. But it would remain with Tony, Kevin, and Mike, with Tony being the chair. Building and Grounds would continue with Paul, Tony, and Mike, with Paul being the chair. Policy would be chaired by Melissa, with Paul and Bill being members of the Policy Committee. Community Relations and Outreach would be chaired by Leslie, with Melissa and Bill being on the committee, and I'd be on as an at-large member as well. And then HR would be with Kevin as the chair, and with me, Tony, and Bill being on that committee as well. Does anybody have any comments on that? This is just a proposal. I'm certainly open to any discussion about that. Does anybody, if you heard your name on a committee that would rather not serve on that committee, please let me know.
So what's the point of the at-large?
I thought it would give some cohesiveness to if the committees needed to get together for anything, that I would participate in those meetings. Not really as a voting member, but just to be there to hear the details of what that committee is discussing.
Okay.
So.
So if you're on a committee and you're a voting member of that committee,
Yeah,
Then-
if I'm assigned to that committee as a. Right.
right, okay.
Right. Right. So, just kind of to make sure that it's following with our overall goals and policies. And that would be it. And we don't have to have the president be an at-large member of all the committees if somebody doesn't feel that way. I'm fine with having that discussion as well. Okay? All right. Any questions, comments?
I guess we're all kind of at-large, non-participatory or non-voting members of all the committees, and to me, that's kind of the whole point of the committee as a whole. And so it almost seems redundant in that respect.
Okay. I would agree with that. Okay. Well, then I would change the proposal to the committees as listed, but the president would not be an at-large member. It would just be just like everybody else's, the way we've been doing it.
Don't typically have private meetings on these committees. I can see the application, or there were private meetings of those committees, but since they're held, at large here.
Right.
All together, I just don't see the necessity of that.
Okay. And Paul, you're right. I mean, when we have the committee as a whole, the chair of the committee usually opens it up to discussion from everybody else anyway, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Well, with that being said, then I would make a proposal to accept the committee assignments and the chairs with the removal of having the president be the at-large committee member. Okay, is there a second? Second from Mr. Quagliano. Is there any further discussion? All right. I guess I want to see if we have it's a voice vote. It's for informational purposes anyway, so we're not even voting on it. So, okay, that's our committees then, unless we hear otherwise. There being no other business, then at 7:27 p.m., I will make a motion to adjourn. Second from Ms. Melendi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.